Okay, it's Thursday. It's 10 a.m. I'm here with Dorking Wanderers manager Marc White. Morning, Marc.
Morning, mate. Another day, another day on the grind.
Yeah, another catch up. Obviously, we were last together on Tuesday.
Yep.
When we talked about the latest state of affairs and the resolutions that have been received, the options, and since then the club has released a statement yesterday, making it very clear that we want the season to continue. Obviously, there's still a lot of stuff happening online, so really I wanted today the opportunity to get your feedback in terms of where it's all at, including the situation with this Saturday's league game.
Well, I think what's happening is the old the roosters are coming home, so to speak. In some respects. So the vote's been sent out, and clubs have 28 days legally to respond to that, and some clubs, rightfully so, especially those more diligent, those more, I think the more professional ones, want to take their time with that, because they want to make sure that they fully understand exactly what direction they're going to go in, and whether it's Sport England loans or grants or their own cost saving exercise, etc. So Sport England have already sent out applications to those people that have inquired. We received one. Deadline of Monday to get them back. Sport England are proving really efficient already. So I think that all the sensible clubs and the ones with the right outlook are really making sure they take their time. And whilst we'd all want to get the vote back as soon as possible, at the same time, it should be every club should have the opportunity to make a full and final decision on what's best for them. So the league is due to unsuspend Saturday, and we're all buzzing about that and looking forward to getting back to football. So the plan at the moment is that the league is now back, and the clubs got together the other night, because obviously we knew in advance that there'd be a bunch of clubs that said, well, we don't want to keep playing, and I had a real balanced view on that, on those clubs, and I still have a balanced view on those that are absolutely in a kind of desolate situation. So the general opinion was that, and this is, to be fair, this is the one thing I've been very consistent with in a fluid situation, is that it's not necessary for any club to not support the other. So I fully support any club that absolutely has no means to an end and will attempt everything they can to keep the competition moving. So fully support that, and I'll give them my own money, if you like, if they needed a bit of transport for a match or something and they was in that type of position. So I don't think anybody with any football person would in a million years want any club to go to the wall. So we all understand that. And my thing from day one has been that those clubs should be supported and they should be able to kind of opt out, if you like. So in terms of this week's fixtures, I think the mindset of everybody is that, look, if clubs don't want to play pending this resolution, then we fully respect that, we understand that. So that's where I'm at, okay. For me, in particular, those clubs that are in the middle of a decision-making process, because it is something that they probably need a week or so on. From our perspective, Chippenham have already announced just that they're not going to participate in this week's fixture, etc., etc. We are just waiting on official sign-off that we will play Hemel tomorrow, Saturday at Hemel, in a league fixture away from home. Both clubs playing opposition that won't play this Saturday, so we'll fulfil that fixture. So we'll let our supporters know about that. So the league this week is due to continue. Clubs are, it looks like, going to be supported by each other to not fulfil fixtures if they're in the middle of that decision-making process. And that enables the league to start again. Let's get football played again. We need to remember at this time that there are, across the whole 66 National League clubs, there are more clubs that want to play football than don't, across the whole thing. So, as it stands right now, in terms of this weekend, football resumes, and the only thing that could stop football resuming this weekend or Tuesday is a resolution to the resolution that is negative. Okay, and that's really where my feelings are starting to become quite strong, because I've seen some really class acts in the last maybe 2 days of club, because we're now starting to see club make announcements. And personally, from my point of view, I find it insulting when you see some of the statements that people put out. And I'm not looking to be controversial. I'd happily have a public debate with somebody about where they spent the 90 grand they got given. That's not a problem. And we're not in a greenhouse, so I'm not throwing stones when I shouldn't. But there are clubs out there doing brilliant things. So we've seen, and what you're really seeing now, by the way, is, and I want to just call it as it is, which is what we do at this club. What we're really seeing now are people's true colours, aren't we? That's the bottom line. So the National League, by the way, are predominantly, as the hierarchy in charge, at fault here. Because the National League have put clubs in a position where they are voting black and white. So they are ultimately saying to clubs, are you a null and void merchant, or do you want to continue? Okay? And I said from day one that I just did not understand why they need to put a resolution out of that degree at this point. Because actually there should have been a middle ground whereby clubs agree that people can opt out of the division, and the division can continue with a minimum teams of X or whatever it might be. Because what is being missed here by the National League, and actually by some of these null and void merchants, and I use that sounds a flippant term. I don't use that for clubs that have got genuine, real big issues and concerns. I respect those clubs, and I read what they say, and I believe and understand them. But what is being missed by the National League and some of these clubs are that if this league gets null and void, these divisions, all you do is move the problem. You move it from the clubs that couldn't or didn't want to participate to the clubs that did. Because all of those clubs, and let's face it, we've got to be honest here, these are clubs that you have to argue predominantly are better run, and I'll come on to why in a minute. These are the clubs that then have to pick up the piece on missing commercial revenues, rebates of sponsorship, rolling over sponsorship to next season, rebates of season tickets. These are all the clubs that then have to pick up the bill for that. So, by giving a black and white solution, they've, on the one hand looking to protect, but on the other hand, they're going to create a massive problem elsewhere. And this is exactly why I said, look, do an indicative vote, find out where people are at, because actually if it is very split, then you know that really whatever outcome you come up with is going to affect a large amount of your member clubs. We will be significantly affected if this league gets called null and void. Forget promotion, forget all that. Forget that shit, right, okay? If you get promoted, you get lucky, right? This is about clubs. I can name other clubs, Oxford City, Havant Waterlooville. I can name a lot of clubs with a large amount of sponsors, Dartford commercials, people that employ full-time commercial managers like us that have a huge amount of revenue tied in partnerships. We, all of us, are going to be absolutely screwed if this division goes null and void. And the National League did not consider that, because the National League were too busy listening to, rightfully, the issues of those that were really concerned for the future of their clubs. So the National League had to take the leadership had to look at it like a business executive and understand the various outcomes to where we are. Because right now, we need to be really straight, okay? This is in the balance. It is as 50-50 as you will get. And this is, the bottom line is, this is the split. And anyone can challenge me on this, okay, yeah. As long as they're educated and follow what's going on. You've got a load of clubs that are organised, that have a means to an end. And they're going to work their way through it. You've then got a few clubs that this absolutely is a problem for. And then you've got a bunch of clubs that are choosing a trapdoor. Choosing. That is the bottom line. They are choosing it. Okay? And that's why, let's call a spade a spade. If you've got the North and South divisions and done a heat map, the red, if you like, the ones that want to opt out, predominantly are all in the bottom half, and the others are up there. What's that? That's indicative of certain clubs that actually think, do you know what? Let's sack it off. Let's sack it off. Now, what I would say to those clubs is this, and I'll say this to the National League as well. And I know clubs, and if they want to challenge me, I'll even talk out about exactly what I know. You've got clubs that have taken supporter money, big chunks, 90 grand lottery money, right? That have not even asked their players to play for reduced income. Have not even considered the use of furlough and then playing 23 players or academy players. Let's look at a good example. Concord Anthony yesterday. Anthony Smith, as vehement as anybody else about the problem we're in, and so he should be. But Anthony has spoken to his players. He's realised as a businessman and wanted to uphold the integrity of the competition that he's part of, and also wanted to make sure his football club is there for his community that tune in every week. Who wants no football for their players, supporters, volunteers and fans until August? Until August. It's Jan, right? Anthony has reduced his wage bill and he's gone, we are cracking on. That's what a good club does. They find a way of moving forward, right, okay? And what I mean is, if you're one of those few that can't, absolutely can't, I would expect, and this is what I would expect the league to have done, that you've done everything in your power to be in that position. And if you're in that position, you'll get my support, and I'm sure anybody else's. But there are clubs that have not done that at all, that are publicly talking about, and they're all using the same rhetoric, and it's bollocks, total bollocks, for want of a better word, okay? And anyone that knows football and business sees through it in a shot. But of course, some of their supporters buy into it, and some less informed people believe it as well. But what you've got, let's another great, Oxford City, they yesterday sent an email, I'm sure they won't mind me saying, it was the best one I've seen yet. You know, committed to their commercial partners, the integrity of the competition, the elite status, and exact words were, we will reduce our costs as we need to as a business. If required, we will use the under 23s and 18s to help prop up our playing squad to finish this season. And I said 2-3 weeks ago, this is an option that all clubs have got, to cut their own costs accordingly and make things work. Are you telling me, let me tell you, if you're running a football club and you can't afford a bus from A to B, then you're running the football club badly. Right, if you're running the football club absolutely hand to mouth, where even after reducing all of your costs as much as possible, a few operating costs are not within the club, you're running the club wrong. Make no mistake. And I can say that firsthand because I've run this club for 21 years, from dragging the nets across a football field, paying £50 to rent a field, dragging the nets, with not a penny to our name, to where we are today. So I know firsthand the passion and hands on deck that can and will go into clubs and football clubs. We see it all the time. But there are clubs that are choosing, Chris, not to bother going down that route. I've seen clubs advertising the fact that we were in debt this many years ago, we're not quite out of this debt yet, you know, and we don't want to get in more debt. Well, absolutely. I 100% agree. Do not take on a loan and create more debt to complete this season. Agreed. Fully. However, first of all, what have you done to reduce your costs? Demonstrate to the league what have you done to reduce your costs to keep this competition going, okay? And the well-being of your sponsors, supporters, fans, players rather, volunteers, right? What have you done to do that? Secondly, show me where you spent your 90 grand. Because I know clubs that doubled their player budget, sign players galore when they're getting 30 grand a month from the government, from the lottery, and now they're saying, yeah, I'll opt out, mate, thanks. Right? It's scandalous. And their supporters might fall for it, but I don't, and I know a lot of other chairmen don't in this division as well. And I know that any true football people listening to this won't believe that either. So just to be really clear, before you get these people that cry their eyes out, I'm not saying for 1 minute any club should take any financial risk at all with completing this season to benefit others. Absolutely not. But what clubs should do, being part of a competition where it's deemed elite, is exhaust every avenue possible to continue that competition, in the knowledge that the commercial partners of all of their fellow clubs, the commercial partners of the league, are massively affected, and of course the thousands of people on lockdown that engage with this level of football. So listen, they can all they want come back at this. It wouldn't bother me remotely. I could give a load more detail than this, make no mistake, right? There are clubs chucking in the towel that are not prepared at all to exhaust every single avenue, and that disappoints me, because what they're not thinking about are all the clubs with all the reasons to continue, and those reasons to continue are far bigger and more important than a promotion. They are well-being, they are commercial revenues, they are integrity and upholding of the elite status, and also the integrity of having not just had lottery money, but football foundation money and everything else. So I think it's a scandal, but it's a scandal that the National League have brought on to a degree by putting a black and white vote in. And I'm not happy about it at all. I'm not. And I know many clubs feel the same. But you know what? It has been really good to see so many clubs positively coming out and showing now our business model's changing. We're going to make this work. We're going to make this work. And we're no different, by the way. We don't need to, we're cutting our cloth all over the place to make sure that we can make it work as well. So it's not about who's got more money. You know, people say, Dorking Wanderers, they've got more money. No, they fucking haven't. No, they've not. We're really simple. We're probably a bit smarter. I'll give you that. We've got more sponsors than the most, more commercial partners. We do more work in the community, more engagement, or on a par with other people. We lead the way in our social media platforms, and we've got a great team of people that passionately love our club. So tough fucking shit. That's why we're in a position where we are able to continue, and we're in that position because we graft at our club. And I know, by the way, that many other clubs do the same. Many other clubs do the same. And you know what, ironically, some of these other clubs that are chucking the towel in across the north, largely across the north and the south, they've also got a load of people that they needed to go and volunteer to get a match on or be the kit man and not get your expect. They would do it. But the problem is some of these clubs, and I think David at File touched on it the other day, they're run by people that just shouldn't be running it anymore. Move aside, let somebody else in, because football's all about passion. It's all about people that, you know, want to make sure there's a match on a Saturday, match on a Tuesday, the kids and the dads and the mums all to come down and watch their team play and to see the smiles on volunteers' faces. And I'm saying this, the one or two clubs that genuinely, after everything cannot continue, they'll get my full support. I'll buy a dummy season ticket, right? You know, that's not an issue. I'm talking to those people that are throwing the towel in. And you've only got to look at a colour map of the league table positions to see exactly what I'm talking about. It's as simple as that. It really is. So if these divisions, and it is absolutely 50-50, if they get declared null and void, then those clubs I'm talking about know who they are, then that's poor, really poor on their behalf. It really is. And football's you have to be in it together in football, because you never know when you need the support of other people. That's what I would say, having been doing it 21 years. You never know when you need support. You've always got to do the right thing, and I think it's no one disputes the fact that the National League buggered up the grants and everything else. And this position is not one people signed up for, but it is the position that we're in. It's the same position as, you know, all the restaurants, cafes and shops on Dorking High Street found themselves in. And we have to deal with it, and we have to do our best as businesses, and sprinkled with a sporting mindset as well. So apologies for any language, but that's just me, right? I'm just very disappointed with some of the clubs, and like I said, wage bills going up by 35%, yet claiming they just can't wait to get out of debt they've been in for 10 years. That's interesting. Do the maths on that.
Okay, well, Mark, I appreciate
nice
your feedback.
How long was that?
Well, no, that's it. I mean, to be fair, I did have a list of questions. I was going to ask you about the commercial side of things, the impact on the community, well-being, etc. You've covered it all, and I don't think there's any point me asking those questions and going over.
And I would say to their supporters, don't be taken for mugs. As a supporter, don't be taken for a mug. You know what I mean? Like, if your club's one of those that wants to throw the towel in, because make sure that you believe your club done everything possible. I've not seen one single message or statement around, people talking about they've exhausted every avenue and it's not possible and it's not happening. Just saying, nah, opt out, please. But the class acts, the professional clubs, the ones that should be in National League status, they're the ones finding an answer. They're the ones finding an answer, like Anthony last night.
Yeah, they should be applauded, definitely. Well, as you touched on earlier in the interview, we're trying to get a game at Hemel Hempstead Saturday, as opposed to Chippenham at home. So watch this space. Obviously, as soon as we've got any news on that, we'll make sure the website's updated and it will be announced on social media. Mark, obviously, we will catch up again soon, and obviously, if there's anything of note that we need to share, we'll make sure it's shared, ASAP with supporters. So let's just hope we that we're going to know left or right which way we're going in the next week, But we've also got the other thing where we've got an absolute huge bunch of northern clubs that and no doubt one or two in the bracket of I would support them and I completely get it and they've exhausted every avenue. But there's definitely some in the avenue of we just don't want to play. The south, just as by means of an update, the south has got definitely got a majority for sure. Even with some clubs disappointingly throwing the towel in. So if our division ends purely because of a bunch of sides that don't want to continue, the National League might need to concede we got this one wrong, because their job to protect all of their member clubs. They're not protecting the majority of South clubs that want to play, who have then got a massive financial issue moving forward. So, that's for them to resolve and sort out big time. Okay. All right, Mark. Well, look, thanks for your time again.
Cheers, mate.
Much appreciated, and we'll catch up again soon.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.